was transpiring, and it's been compliance by the witness since she was advised that she's actually still a potential witness in the case. So I will not exclude her testimony on that basis. The other thing I'll note is that the subject matter of her testimony, in other words, the reason the prosecution wants to call her as a witness, relates to a matter that has not been testified about by any other witness, and I'm not aware of any other witness having knowledge of the subject matter of her testimony, such that the viewing of any other witness's testimony or reading about it would not involve any shaping of her testimony. The other grounds argued relates to Rule 403, and with respect to that, I am of the view that there is probative value to her testimony, and that the prejudicial effect is not substantially outweighing the probative value. There is no allegation here that the defendant is any type of a suspect in, with respect to the disappearance of another woman. But his alleged statement with respect to the manner in which he would dispose of a body does have probative value and relevance to the issues in this case. Accordingly, I will not exclude it on Rule 403 grounds. I do feel it appropriate, however, to inform the jurors that they're about to hear evidence of a statement the defendant may have allegedly made concerning another investigation, that there's no allegation that the defendant has ever been suspected of having any role in that matter, and it's offered solely in relation to the allegations in this case, and in considering the evidence, they're to consider it for that limited purpose, and that they're to determine what weight, if any, they're to give to this. All right.
So, Your Honor, would that be before or after Ms.
I think
Silva testifies?
it should be before. Do you have any problem with
No,
that?
no, yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. All right.
Are they getting the jury right now?
I'm sorry.
Are they bringing the jury?
Yes.
Clarence still got letter shackles.
Oh, thank you for pointing that out. All right, and the record reflects it. Those have been removed. The record will reflect the presence of the members of the jury. Actually, perhaps we could have a witness wait outside for just
You do the
a moment,
demonstration.
and then they can witness come in. The record will reflect that the witness was not present when the court earlier ruled, and but did return in anticipation of testifying. But I think it's appropriate first to provide an instruction out of the hearing of the witness. And good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, the prosecution's next witness, who, by the way, has already been placed under oath, will be presenting certain testimony to you. The testimony may allege that the defendant made a statement or statements concerning a separate and unrelated investigation concerning the disappearance of another person, not related in any way, shape, or form to this case. This testimony, I do want to point out, as you listen to this testimony, that there has not, nor is there any allegation that the defendant has had any role in that separate matter and has never been suspected of any wrongdoing in that other matter. The alleged statements are being offered solely in relation to the issues in this case. You must not consider that evidence that the defendant may at another time have committed another crime. Again, there is absolutely no allegation that the defendant is involved in that other investigation. Again, this testimony, if believed by you, is for the limited purpose of the issues related to this case and must be considered solely for that reason. Whether you find the evidence to be credible and the weight that you give to that evidence is, of course, for you to determine as the trier of fact in this case. All right, thank you. And then we'll have, you may call your next witness.
Thank you.
What did you call the witness for the record?
Oh, the state will be calling Ashley Silva.
And the record will reflect that Ms. Silva has just re-entered the courtroom. She's approaching the witness stand. She's previously been placed under oath. And you may approach the witness stand and be seated. And as is the court's practice, I'll remind you that you're still under oath. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
All right. Would you please state your name for the record?
Ashley Silva.
You may continue with your examination of the witness.
Thank you. Ms. Silva, where do you currently reside? Which town?
Hiya,
And how long have you been a Maui resident?
my whole life.
Were you an employee of Mana Foods at some time in your life?
Yes, sir.
And how long did you work for Mana Foods?
Approximately 10 and a half years.
And when was the last time you were employed there?
October 1st, 2015.
So last year was the last time you Are you working right now?
Yes, sir.
And where are you employed?
I work at Maui Coffee Roasters and at the Paia Pit Stop. I'm sorry? At the Paia Pit Stop.
Now, while you were working at Mana Foods, did you come to know a person by the name of Stephen Capobianco?
Yes, I did.
Did you know that person before you worked at Mana Foods or while you were working there at Mana Foods?
While I was working at Maui Foods.
If you were to see that person again, would you be able to recognize him?
Yes, sir.
If he's here in this courtroom, could you please point to him and describe the color of his shirt?
Mr. Capobianco is wearing a bluish-gray shirt.
Your Honor, may the record reflect that Ms. Silva has identified the defendant.
The record will so reflect.
Okay, thank you. Now, while you were working at Mana Foods, which area were you working at?
I was a cashier.
And do you know where the defendant was working at?
Yes.
Where was that?
He worked between the bakery and the deli.
Were there, while you were working there and you got to know the defendant, did you folks become friends?
Yes.
Can you describe that friendship?
I considered him to be one of my best friends. We hung out every lunch break, after work sometimes, met up occasionally on the weekends.
Okay. Can you, the last part, can you just say that a little louder?
We occasionally met out on the weekends.
Were you ever romantically involved with the defendant?
No, sir.
In fact, do you yourself have a family?
Yes, sir.
And can you describe what's the makeup of your family?
I have two kids, an 11-year-old and an 8-year-old, and a boyfriend.
And when you say you would hang out or spend time with the defendant, what would you guys normally do?
Sometimes if he had his dog, we'd go kick back at Maliko for like an hour and stuff and just talk story. Sometimes I brought my dog as well.
Now, are you familiar with a person by the name of Mo Gonzalez?
Yes, sir.
And how are you familiar with that person?
I went to school with her daughter, Alexis.
Her daughter, is she about the same age as you?
She's a year younger than I am.
And which school is this?
We went to Waihe Elementary School.
And turning attention to sometime during the month of, or during the year of 2014, were you made aware that Mo Gonzalez had disappeared or gone missing?
Yes, sir.
And do you recall when this was approximately?
I want to say probably January 12th or January 14th of 2014.
And when you were made aware of that, did that ever become a topic of discussion between you and the defendant?
A few occasions, yes.
And when you say a few occasions, when would these occasions have occurred?
Normally when we went on break together, when we worked at Mana Foods.
Did you ever speak with the defendant on weekends?
Yes.
Were you working on weekends, or was that
Yes,
off
we
day
both
for you?
we both worked on Saturdays.
And after, when you learned that, or when you were made aware that Mo Gonzalez had gone missing, and you spoke about this topic with the defendant, what, if any, statement did he make with respect to that?
I had asked him somewhere down the line of, what do you think happened to her? And he said if it was him, he would just throw her over the side of a cliff
Did you say why he would do that?
because nobody would ever find her.
When he made the statement to you, well, first of all, are you familiar with a person by the name of Charlie Scott?
Yes, sir.
When the defendant made that statement to you with respect to Mo Gonzalez, had Charlie Scott gone missing yet?
No, sir.
At some point, did you find out that Charlie Scott had gone missing?
Not until the following month.
February of 2012.
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Silva. No further questions for you.
Cross-examination, Mr. Opel.
So you're testifying about something Stephen said about mold, right?
Yes, sir.
Can we agree that that was not the first conversation you had with Stephen about mold?
We could say that, yes.
That it had been, there had been a number of conversations about mold that you had brought up as a topic during your many times of just hanging out with Stephen, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, can we agree that one of the things that you and Stephen did when you folks hung out a lot was you guys smoked pot together, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, can we agree that even this comment that you're testifying about was basically stoner talk?
Judge, objection. One is vague and ambiguous. Two is speculation, and it is confusing.
The objection is sustained.
Well,
Thank
you'd agree with me, and it would be your testimony that Stephen exaggerates a lot, right?
Objection again, Your Honor. This calls for speculation and mischaracterization.
The objection is sustained. Proceed.
Actually, well, yeah. Is it your testimony that what you say Stephen said was in response to a question that you asked him in terms of what you think happened to Mo?
Yes, sir.
Now, would you agree with me that that wasn't the only thing he said about, or in answer to that question?
Into that specific question?
Right. That he had talked about other things that he thought may have happened to her?
Yes, sir.
I have no further questions.
Mr. Rivera, any redirect examination?
Yes, Your Honor. Did you ever ask the defendant what he would do if he made Will disappear? Or did he just volunteer that to you?
That's all he said when I said, what do you think happened to her?
And when he made this statement to you, were you folks at Mata Foods or out of Mata Foods?
We were outside in the bank parking lot.
In the bank parking lot?
Yes.
Were you sitting in a car or out of a car, if you remember?
We were sitting in I have a 2010 Ford Escape, so the back hatch opens up, and we were sitting right outside there.
And, I'm sorry, where was the car? Did you say the Bank of Hawaii?
Yes, Bank of Hawaii Paia parking lot.
Thank you. No further questions.
Recross
I have
examination.
no further questions.
Are there any juror questions?
Yes,
Counsel, please. seated. Thank you. I have some questions that I'm going to read to you. After I read a question, I will tell you that you can answer the question. You can then face the jurors and answer the question. After you're through, if you look at me as you're doing right now, take that as a signal that you're finished answering the question, then I'll go on to the next question. After the last question, I'll allow the attorneys the opportunity to ask you follow-up questions, all right? If you would like me to ask a question again, or was to read a question again, just let me know. I'll be happy to do that, okay?
All right.
All right. The first question reads, do you smoke pot on a regular basis? Do you use other drugs also? You may answer the question.
I smoke pot occasionally, and no, I do not use any other drugs.
And the next question is, why would you testify against your friend Stephen today? You may answer the question.
I don't feel that I'm testifying against my friend. I feel like I'm trying to help and find answers to what might have happened to Charlie. It has nothing to do with going against, testifying against a friend.
All right. Any follow-up questions, Mr. Rivera?
None this time, Your Honor.
Mr. Alco?
Yes, would another way of putting what you just said be that you're here in terms of justice for Charlie?
Motion to objection, this argument is return itself.
I would draw.
I'll-
I would draw.
Okay, question is withdrawn.
No,
All
no
right.
further questions.
All right, thank you very much. Your excuse. Mr. Rivera?
You know, we're checking to see if our other witness has already.
All right.
Restart this file because I lost the feed.
Oh, okay.
And I have to grab my security device really quick. Okay, just one. Do you want me to just go get it really quick?
Okay, see what I'm just gonna make a note.
Hang on.
Does that mean this will be a separate record?
No, it should just go.
It'll just keep on going?
Yeah, it should. Fingers crossed it should. Wait. Is it going, Judge? Is it going now?
Yeah, don't. Just try to...
Is it going now?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, I'm sorry.
Your Honor, I apologize. I had no idea that this witness was going to be next. May I apologize to the jury if it affects them, but may I make a motion either by approaching or in the absence absence of the jury
This approach.
prior to
You can approach.
testimony.
If I put this on the record, the statement, we call him John Palicki. Mr. Palicki, could you please state your full name for the record?
John Thomas Palicki.
And how do you spell your last name?
It's Palicki.
And Mr. Palicki, where do you currently reside?
In Paia.
And are you currently employed?
Yes.
Who do you work for?
Work at Mana Foods.
And how long have you been employed at Mana Foods?
Approximately 3 years. 3 years.
3 years now. Were you employed at Mana Foods before this?
Prior to the 3 years?
Right.
No.
Okay. So turning your attention to the date February, or the year February 14th of, I'm sorry, February of 2014, were you an employee of Mana Foods?
Yes.
And which division within the store do you work with?
I work in the bakery.
Have you been with the bakery the entire time you've been employed there?
Yes.
And what is your what is your specific assignment within the bakery?
I bake bread.
Now, the bakery, where is that located within the store?
It's in the back of the store, downstairs, sort of in a basement. kind of room.
Are you familiar with a person by the name of Ginseng Miller
Yes.
and Dave Rasmussen?
My co-workers, yes.
They're both co-workers of yours?
Well, Dave is my boss.
And Ginseng is,
Dave, Ginseng works on the bread side with me.
Were they also co-workers of yours back in 2014?
Correct, yes.
And Dave being was he your supervisor or your boss?
Dave is.
Dave is.
Yeah.
Okay. And was this back in 2014 as well?
Yeah.
And what are your days off now?
Now, Sunday and Monday.
And back in 2014, do you recall when your days off were?
Friday and Saturday.
You also know a person who working at Mono Foods, a person by the name of Stephen Capobianco.
Yes, I do.
And how do you know that person?
He worked there
In what section?
in the bakery.
If you were to see Stephen Capobianco, would you be able to recognize him?
Yes.
If he's here in this courtroom, could you please point to him and describe the color of his shirt?
Sitting right there, shirt is blue.
And may the record reflect that Mr. Palicki has identified the defendant.
The record will so reflect.
Thank you. And am I saying your name correctly?
Palicki.
Oh.
Palicki. Like Polly, like Polly.
Okay, Palicki, is that correct? I apologize, I think I was saying it incorrectly.
All kinds.
And Mr. Palicki, how long have you been a resident of Maui?
Since 2002, 14 years.
And prior to working at Mono Foods, were you employed at any other place prior to here in Maui?
Yes. Yes.
And where is that?
I worked at Imiley General Store for 8 years, and I worked at Roy's.
And Roy's as well?
Yeah.
Now, turning your attention to the month of February 2014, let's talk about the second week. This would be the week of Sunday, February 9th. You said that your days off during that time period was Friday and Saturday, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So did you work Sunday through, I guess, through Thursday of
Yes.
that week?
Yes.
At some time, before I get into your work schedule, how would you get to work? Or before I get there, where were you living back in December and January up to February of 2014?
I lived in Haiku,
And which area of Haiku is this?
near Five Corners.
And did you know at that time, did you know where the defendant was living?
Yes.
And where's that?
Same area, Five Corners, yeah.
Now, was there a time while you were living in Haiku that you would catch rides to work?
Oh yeah, regularly for about 4 months.
And can you describe which period are you talking about? Was this in 2014 and 13?
Well, 14. Wait. Yeah, I guess it'd be 13. It would be before that. Gosh, I don't know. See, I moved to Paia in January, so it would be December. 4 months prior to that, December. I can't do
Okay.
math right now.
Right, so December of 2013 and several months prior
Yes.
to that,
Yes.
you were catching a ride to Mono Foods?
Yes.
And who were you catching a ride with?
Steve, my coworker.
And turning your attention to December of 2013, do you recall what type of vehicle he would give you a ride in?
Yeah, it was a white Ford Ranger pickup.
Was it also a white Ford Ranger pickup?
Sometimes he had that Toyota 4Runner.
Let me show you a picture that's in evidence.
I'll check as to relevance what he was driving in December of 2013.
You know, I'll tie it up with later on with the identification of this vehicle.
The objection is overruled.
Thank you. You know, permission to publish State's Exhibit 36. Thank you.
Permission granted.
Okay, I'm showing what is in evidence of State's Exhibit 36. Do you recognize this Toyota 4Runner?
Yes.
And how do you recognize it?
Looks like the one Steve had. I don't know if it's the exact same one, but looks like it.
Now, can you describe or tell us what was the path that you guys took to get to Mana Foods? Once you're out of the Haiku area and you're entering Paia, how would you guys get to Mana Foods
We would go
in
up,
the Toyota 4Runner?
upon a highway.
Okay, go up on a highway and then,
And then turn left on Baldwin to get to Mana.
and to, are you familiar with the Bank of Hawaii?
Yes.
Where's the Bank of Hawaii with respect to Mana Foods?
It's next door.
So
Closer
would
to
you,
Mana.
would you have to pass the Bank of Hawaii if you're driving, taking that left onto Baldwin Avenue and going up towards Mana Foods?
Yes.
And what time would you normally arrive into work when the defendant would pick you up in his Toyota 4Runner?
6:30, 6:30 down there.
Now, at some point, when defendant is, I guess, giving you a ride to Mana Foods, did you ever become aware from the defendant that he was going to father a child?
Yes.
And how did you become aware of that?
We were just talking on the way to work, and he told me.
Do you recall the conversation between you and the defendant with respect to that issue or
Yeah,
topic?
generally, yeah.
And can you tell us about it?
He said that Carly was pregnant, and
Did you know who Carly was?
no, I didn't know who she was. But he had mentioned her a couple times, I guess. I just didn't pay attention.
Okay. And then, go ahead, I'm sorry I interrupted you.
He said that they just found out that they were going to have a baby, and he was put off that he wanted to talk to her, but she didn't want to talk to him. So he just kind of mentioned that.
Now, at some point, Mr. Palicki, did you become aware that Charlie Scott had gone missing?
Say it. The beginning of that again?
Yeah, did you become aware that Carly Scott had gone missing?
Yes.
Where were you when you first became aware of that?
I was at work in front of the oven.
And can you tell us how is it that you became aware of that?
Stephen told me.
When he told you that, could you describe his demeanor or his appearance when he told you that?
He looked concerned. Yeah.
Did he tell you how he came about, or what, I guess, what caused him to provide that information to you?
What caused him to tell me that?
Yes.
I don't know.
Or did he tell you how he found out?
Oh, I can't recall if he told me that the police came to his house that day, or if
Okay.
I learned that after the fact. I can't recall.
When you say learned it after the fact, could that have been from him or from somebody else?
I know for sure I read it in a newspaper, but I don't know when that was.
When he talked to you though about Carly Scott being missing, at that time, did you notice his hands?
Not on that day.
Did you notice his hands on another day that week?
Yeah, the next day.
And what is it that you noticed?
There was a mark of some sort, like a cut or a burn across his hands, top of his hands.
You have permission to publish State's Exhibit 27, which is already in evidence.
Gotcha.
So, Mr. Palicki, I'm going to show you State's Exhibit 27. You can look at the monitor there. Do you recognize what you're seeing there?
Yes, that's what I saw.
The marks that you see on the pair of hands there, was that the marks you saw the next
Correct.
day?
Yes.
Do you recall if the defendant told you anything about those marks on the back of his hands?
Yes. He said he was helping a friend work on a car, and the window fell on his hand, something like that.
Now, where you folks work, are there any serrated edge knives where you folks work within the bakery section?
Yes.
And can you describe that for us, please?
About a 14-inch blade, black rubber handle, Forstner brand.
And how many such knives are there in that bakery area?
One. This one, we share it.
When you say you share it, who do you share it with?
I share it with the cake side and the bread side. We don't use it constantly, just
So it stays in the bakery?
yeah.
Are there times when the knife is no longer there or replaced by other serrated edge knives?
That's happened in the past. We have a dishwashing crew, and sometimes they don't know where to put things back, but they eventually turn up. Sometimes they'll end up in the kitchen, which is a whole separate deal.
Are there times when new knives appear?
Object this to leaving and
The objection is sustained as to reading.
Yeah, I'll rephrase it, thank you. Any other times when the knife may or may not appear?
Yeah, the one we have now is relatively new, and it's sort of like a special deal. Like, ooh, we finally got a knife.
What happened to the old ones, do you know?
Object this to relevance
Disappears.
as to new knives in 2016.
The
Relevance in general.
objection is sustained.
And if council's going to keep going forward with the knife, maybe approach relative to a motion in limine, which has already been granted.
All right.
Yeah, there's been no motion granted with respect to the,
Well, I think you're saying in relation to the current year.
right, I'm going to rephrase the question.
All right, proceed.
No, maybe approach relative to the already granted motion in limine, the original one.
All right. did. Proceed, counsel.
Thank you. In addition to there being a 14-inch serrated knife or one 14-inch serrated knife within the bakery division, do you folks also use happen to use masking tape?
Yes,
And how often would you use masking tape?
every day.
What for purposes?
We used to
Again, this is within the bakery division, right?
Yes. We have a sheet pan that we use for displaying the pastries, and the shelf is on an angle. We have to line the pan with paper, baking paper. But since it's on an angle, it tends to slide off. So we tape the paper onto the pan so all the pastries will follow.
And as far as the rolls of tape goes, where does that come from? Within Modern Foods?
Comes from the office, but we have several rolls around the bakery, 2 or 3 at a time.
You know, permission to publish Case Exhibit 240.
Granted.
Yeah, I'm showing you Case Exhibit 240. Do you recognize what that is there?
Looks like masking tape.
Now, the masking tape rolls you folks would use within the bakery division of Modern Foods, do they share the same appearance?
Yeah, it's general masking tape. Yeah.
Are there, on occasion, are there loose rolls within the bakery division, or are they always full?
Used.
And do you guys keep track of those rolls?
It's hard to find them sometimes.
Now, when you testified earlier that the defendant told you that Charlie or Carly Scott had gone missing, do you recall what day this was?
No, I don't know the exact date.
When you found that out, and I don't want you to tell us what was being said or anything, but was there already talk going around the Manos Foods business about Carly Scott being missing?
Well, check, that's the leading.
The objection is sustained.
When you first found out, what talk, if any, occurred? Was there talk, if any, occurred within the Manos Foods area regarding that topic?
I had heard something to that effect, but it's very loud in there, and I just don't pay attention to everyone's conversations. But I'd heard something about it.
So when you heard something about it, was this the same day, or was this a different day that the defendant told you that Carly Scott had gone missing?
I don't recall. I would imagine if he's telling people that day, I'm sure people talked about it that day.
So
I
you're
don't
not sure?
specifically remember.
Okay. Do you know who Brooke Scott is?
Who?
Brooke Scott.
No.
Now, do you remember speaking with police back on February 27th of 2014?
Yes.
Do you remember doing that?
Yes.
Okay. And this would have taken place at Modern Foods in Paia, is that correct?
Yes, in the cashier's office.
And at that time, do you remember telling the police that...
Jack calls for you, say.
Yeah, this is for impeachment. Of memory.
For that purpose, court will allow the testimony and overrule the objection not offered to prove the truth of the matter asserted, but rather to impeach. Proceed.
Now, Mr. Palicki, do you remember telling the police back on that date, February 27th of 2014, that it was Monday, the next day, that the defendant told you that Charlie Scott had gone, or Carly Scott had gone missing?
Yes.
As you sit there, is that the correct day? Was it a Monday?
I was looking that over earlier, and again, I don't know if it was Sunday or Monday. I'm unsure. I can't say positively.
Were you working on Tuesday that day? I mean, that week?
Yes.
Now, let me turn your attention to the following months. In April of 2014, were you still employed at Montefoods at that?
Yes, sir?
And still within the bakery division
Yes.
in April of 2014?
Yes.
And do you recall if the defendant was still working back in April of 2014?
I believe so. Yeah.
At that time, more specifically turning your attention to April 7th of 2014, do you recall defendant making a statement to you that caused you to have some concern?
Yes.
And I'm going to ask you right now, can you tell us what that statement was that caused you to have some concern?
Well, like the whole backup story to it, or? He said his
Yes,
little cousin.
what did he tell you? Go ahead.
He was with his little cousin and her friend, and he said that her friend had bruises on her arms, like someone had grabbed her, and it made him mad. And he said, I thought I would have to keep myself from killing someone again.
So when he told you he thought he had to keep himself from killing someone again, what did he do?
I wasn't sure, like, the again part, you know, like, you think it all the time, like, oh, that guy pissed me off, you know, kill that guy, but, you know, but you keep yourself from doing that. Was it that or another time?
Mr. Palicki, let me ask you this. Are you sure you heard the word again?
Yeah.
What did you do after that? Did you communicate with anyone?
I kept working. We were making bread. Oh, did I communicate with anyone?
Yes.
I thought it was odd, so I texted my ex-girlfriend to tell her.
Okay, now without the, I can't have you tell us what you texted her. But after you texted her, did anything else happen?
Yeah, I guess she showed the text to one of her coworkers, and they.
Foundation.
Okay, so Mr. Palicki, without telling us what somebody else told you or what you think might have happened, first of all, were you there when she received the text? No, you were at
No.
work, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so without telling us what she would have done because you weren't there, I want to know what happened with respect to you after you texted her.
After that, the police called me.
Check this to relevance.
Yeah, just go through complete.
Overruled.
Okay, go ahead.
The police called me at work and asked if I would. They asked me about if I wanted to talk with them about a specific text.
Okay. And did you speak with police?
Yeah.
When was that?
They came the next day. Maybe it was the same day or the next day.
Now, when the defendant told you that he thought he would have to keep himself from killing someone again, could you describe his demeanor or what did his face look like?
He was pretty upset because, like, you know, he loves his cousin and her friend, and he's upset about it. Yeah.
joking?
No.
And this conversation about his cousin and her friend, did he bring that up or did you bring that up to him?
He brought it up.
Did he identify who his cousin was to you?
No, he just talks about her as his little cousin. That's how I know her.
Did he identify who the friend was?
Yeah, I don't remember the name though, but it's a girl that one day when he was driving home from work, we stopped to help them look at a car that one of them was going to buy, and that's when I met both of them.
And so you met his little cousin? Is that right? And the friend that he's referring to, are you saying you met her as well?
Yeah, that's how I know who we're talking about, because he said, remember those two with the car we looked at?
And so you met them before you made the statement?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Palicki. I have no further questions.
Cross-examination.
Can we agree that in terms of your receipt of that communication from Stephen, that you received it just like you did much of the other communications from him, which is that your thought was that he's a kind of weird dude, he's kind of goofy, and he's awkward?
Objection. This calls for speculation. It's also irrelevant as to what other communications are.
The objection is sustained.
Would it be accurate to say that it's your words to describe Stephen's Stephen's interactions with you as him being kind of a weird dude, right?
Yeah.
The objection, again, it calls for a conclusion and it's an opinion that's not allowed by the
The objection is overruled.
Okay. And in addition to being a kind of weird dude, he's kind of goofy, right? Your words, right?
Yeah, my words.
And he's awkward, right?
At times, yeah, my words. Yeah.
No further questions.
Redirected.
Thank you. Did he ever once before that they tell you he had to stop himself from killing someone again?
No.
Was that the very first time?
But he told me that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you take him seriously when he told you that?
It seems, well, I was a little freaked out, so, yeah, I guess.
You have no further questions.
A little freaked out, so you texted your girlfriend at the time because she was into the whole controversy at the time, right?
Yeah. I
It's
thought
not
it
like
was-
you called the police because you were worried that Stephen had killed somebody, right?
I called her first, yeah.
Did you hesitate or did you not want to talk to the police about this? You know, I'm not suggesting an answer.
Excuse me. The objection is overruled. You may answer the question.
Didn't
The
want
question
to,
is,
and-
did you not want to talk to the police about this?
Section relevance?
I don't know that I did.
The objection is overruled. You may answer the question.
I didn't want to run and tell anybody. Or, yeah.
But did you talk to the police about this?
Argumentative?
They called me.
Excuse me. The objection is overruled.
Yes or no, did you talk to the police?
I did talk to the police.
So that's a leading question. Objection.
You know, it's not suggesting an answer.
The objection is overruled.
Thank you. No further questions.
Any recross examination?
No further questions.
Yeah, are there any juror questions?
Yes.
council please approach. I have some questions that I'm going to read to you. After I ask a question, I will tell you can answer the question. You can then face the jurors and answer the question. After you're through answering, if you would look back to me as you're doing right now, I'll take that as a signal that you're finished answering the question. I'll then go on to the next question, and after the last question, I'll see if the attorneys have any follow-up questions, all right?
Yes, Your Honor.
If you would like me to read the question again, just let me know. I'll be happy to do that, okay? The first question reads, when Stephen made the statement that concerned you, did you ask Stephen to explain himself? You may answer the question.
I did not ask him to explain himself.
The next question reads, do employees bring their cooking utensils, aprons to/from work every day in a tote bag or any other type of bag or container? You may answer the question.
No, they don't. Some of the cooks do, but the bakers don't. All of the equipment is in the bakery at all times.
The next question reads, do you know of Mana Foods, oh, excuse me, straight, let me start that again, I misread it, my apologies. Do you know if Mana Foods has surveillance cameras? You may answer the question.
Yes, they do have surveillance cameras all over the place.
And the last question reads, do you have a first aid kit accessible to Mana Foods employees' use? You may answer the question.
Yes, we do have a first aid kit. It's adjacent to the bakery, the hallway next door.
Any follow-up questions, Mr. Rivera?
I have no follow-up questions, thank you.
Mr. Ockel.
I'm just curious, where the bakers do their work downstairs, are there cameras there?
Yes.
Just one follow-up to that. Was this back in 2014 that cameras were there?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else, Mr. Ockel?
No, thank you.
All right. All right. Thank you very much. You are excused. Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I've been informed by the parties that we've concluded the witnesses available for today. So we'll be adjourning for the day and reconvening tomorrow at 10 a.m. We're going to have a longer lunch recess tomorrow because of two things occurring here in the building. Approximately 11:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. So I wanted you to be aware of that. I apologize if that creates any inconvenience for you. But thank you very much for your service as jurors today. And we'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Please keep in mind my cautionary instructions. They remain in effect. And have a nice evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much.